Hey, what's up you guys? Hope you're all having a good day. And on today's video, we are going to be trying to predict the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Let's just jump straight into it with Group A. In Group A, we have Qatar, the hosts, of course, Ecuador, qualifying out of South America, Senegal, qualifying out of Africa, and the Netherlands, of course, qualifying out of Europe. Now, the Dutch, I think, are pretty clearly going to win this group. In terms of that runner-up position, I think it's between Senegal and Ecuador. Ecuador, I believe, have sort of risen to prominence relatively recently. With Senegal, I think, are more of an established side. And for that reason, I think that they're going to go through in that second place position. However, I think Ecuador could just as easily clinch that position. In Group B, we have England, Iran, England qualifying out of Europe, of course, Iran qualifying out of Asia, the US qualifying out of CONCACAF, and the Welsh qualifying out of Europe as well. So I think England are pretty clearly going to win that group. In regards to that second position, I'm gonna back the team from Iran. Yeah, they're a good quality side there. A very strong side, actually, from Europe. So I'm going to back them. In regards to the US and Wales, US, I just don't know if that they're quite strong enough. And same thing with Wales. I think Wales really, in terms of their side, they really only have Gareth Bale. And I just don't think that one man can carry a team. Yeah, in Group C, we have Argentina qualifying out of South America, Saudi Arabia qualifying out of Asia, Mexico qualifying out of CONCACAF, and Poland also qualifying out of Europe. Once again, I think that the winner of that group is quite clearly going to be Argentina. Argentina are a very strong side, and are probably one of the top sides in the entire competition. In regards to that second place position, I again think it's a toss-up between two, those two being Mexico and Poland. I'm going to give the edge to Mexico there, but I feel like Poland are just as likely, really, to be able to do something. Group D is next up, where we have France qualifying out of Europe, Denmark also qualifying out of Europe, Tunisia qualifying, I believe, out of Africa, and Australia qualifying out of Asia. So I think it's quite clearly going to be the French side winning this group. They're simply the strongest side. They're, of course, being defending champions. In second place, I believe it's going to be the Danish. I think it's quite clearly those two sides. I just think Tunisia and Australia just simply aren't strong enough to go through. In Group E, we have Spain qualifying out of Europe, Germany also qualifying out of Europe, Japan qualifying out of Asia, and Costa Rica, who clinched the interconference playoff spot. Yeah, I think it's clearly Spain and Germany going through there. It's just a matter of who's going to be first and who's going to be second. And I think that it is a toss-up between the two. However, I believe that the Germans have a stronger team, so I'm going to pick them as winning the group, and of course Spain getting that second place position. We move on to Group F, where we have Belgium qualifying out of Europe, Canada qualifying out of CONCACAF, Morocco qualifying out of Africa, I believe, and Croatia qualifying out of Europe. I think it's quite clearly Belgium in first place, being a very strong side. They have a sort of golden generation going on, and definitely probably considered a little bit of a dark horse in the entire competition. Croatia, of course, making it to the final in the last edition of the competition. I think pretty much a lock there for second place. Group G, we have Brazil qualifying out of South America, Serbia qualifying out of Europe, Switzerland also qualifying out of Europe, and Cameroon qualifying out of Africa. Once again, Brazil, easy lock to win the group. In terms of second place, I think honestly any of the other sides can take it. And I wouldn't really be surprised if any of these sides got in. However, I'm gonna back Switzerland to get that final spot of Group G. And finally, we have reached Group H, where we have Portugal qualifying out of Europe, Ghana qualifying out of Africa, Uruguay qualifying out of South America, and Korea qualifying out of Asia. So Portugal, once again, I think are an easy lock to win the group. And I think Uruguay are quite clearly going to get that second place position. So with all that said and done, we move on to the round of 16. So this is how my predictions ran out. We have the Netherlands versus Iran in that first match, Argentina versus Denmark, England versus Senegal, France versus Mexico, Germany versus Croatia, Brazil versus Uruguay, Belgium versus Spain, and Portugal versus Switzerland. So for that first game, Netherlands versus Iran, I think it's quite clearly got to back the Dutch there to do the job. In terms of Argentina versus Denmark, again, I think it's quite clear that Argentina really have to win that. You would back Argentina to win that game. England versus Senegal, England I would back to win that game. France versus Mexico, again, France I think are just the stronger side. Germany, Croatia, you would have to back the Germans. Brazil versus Uruguay, I think you would have to back Brazil in that match. Belgium, Spain, I'm going to go Spain. I think that's one where you could sort of see a little bit of an upset happening. Granted, Spain also quite a good quality side as well. Belgium also being a good quality side as well. Portugal versus Switzerland, I'm going to back the Portuguese to win that game. So we move on to the quarterfinals where we have Netherlands versus Argentina, Germany versus Brazil, England versus France, and Spain versus Portugal. For the first game, Netherlands versus Argentina, I'm going to have to back Argentina there. I think they're just a stronger side, to be honest, than the Dutch. Germany versus Brazil, I'm going to have to back Brazil there. Brazil are the favourites going into this competition. England versus France, I'm gonna back the French. I think that the English will only make it to the quarterfinals before crashing and burning, as the English are usually prone to doing. Of course, the English have been performing quite well in international tournaments, reaching the semi-finals in the last edition of the World Cup back in 2018, and in 2021, after the 2020 Euros, they reached the final. But poor lack of form doesn't really make me think that they're going to go too far in this competition. Last game of the quarterfinals is Spain versus Portugal. And I think you have to back the Portuguese there. I think that they are a stronger side, and I believe have been enjoying better form than the Spanish. We now reach the semi-finals where we have Argentina versus Brazil, a South American match, up versus France versus Portugal, which is of course a European matchup. So we have bit of a battle of the continents going on in terms of each side, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so for Argentina versus Brazil, this is a very hard pick because they're both very good sides. I just think Brazil are a stronger side. So I'm going to back Brazil there to win that match. In regards to France versus Portugal, I'm not sure. I think I would go Portugal, actually. Even though I think the French side is stronger, in terms of historically what we see at World Cups, I don't believe we usually see sides making back-to-back finals all that often, and so I'm just going to simply refer to history because I'm just not sure. So that's usually where we have to fall back on. Yeah, so for that third place playoff, we have Argentina versus France. I'm going to back Argentina to win that match. I think Argentina are going to come third at this World Cup, and of course that would leave the final Brazil versus Portugal. And I'm going to back Brazil to win their 6th World Cup. And yeah, there you have it. That is my predictions. If you enjoyed that video, feel free to hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below with your predictions. I want to hear them. How off base am I? Or do you think I might be onto something? And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I make videos whenever I can. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.